My name is Nan Pashon, and I am happy to be with you here today so that we can all worship together on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. So this week, our scripture is very near the beginning of Jesus' ministry. It's in a familiar passage we call the Sermon on the Mount. In this first and longest sermon from Matthew's Gospel, Jesus lays out the foundation for his entire ministry. Throughout the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is teaching us the way of discipleship. As Jesus climbs up a hill overlooking the Sea of Galilee, his disciples are nearby, and other followers have gathered to listen to Jesus. Let us join together to hear and recite from Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All Saints Sunday is not a day I knew much about before becoming a member of this congregation. All Saints Day, which is actually November 1st, is a precious day when we remember. We remember our loved ones, remember members of our church family, remember so many lives who have shaped us over the years, through our lifetimes, even through centuries, through history. Now, to our Presbyterian ears, perhaps we perk up just a little in confusion when we talk about saints. Do we have saints? Do we believe in saints? But as soon as we ask that question, a million responses pop into our heads as we think about the people who have touched our lives. Granted, we're all probably not thinking of the same people, but that hardly matters, because this is a day when we can enter into the story together. There are so many different lives represented in the communion of saints. Lives as beautiful and enshredded and ordinary as the ribbons on this banner. The banner that we fashioned together last week after we found scraps from our Sunday school rooms and asked you to inscribe your saints' names, your people, your loves on these ribbons. All Saints Sunday is a celebration in the community of faith, of the family of God, as we remember lives that have shaped us in different ways. Take a moment with me here, friends. Who has shaped you that you are missing today? We all have that individual who we still miss dearly, who we hold up in our hearts and minds. For me, this person has been my mom. Mom would have been the first to admit that she most certainly was not perfect. But for me, it's hard now to remember anything not wonderful about her. Along with being tough and resilient, she was a beautiful person inside and out, a kind, caring soul. If you knew her, you knew she expected a lot out of you. She expected you to treat others with kindness, respect, and sincerity. Because, you see, my mom showed up for people. She celebrated in their joys and she wept with them in their sorrows. My mom was a recovering alcoholic, and when she died, she was 39 years sober. A few years after she got sober, she started to chair a weekly Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at the Dixon Correctional Center. For years, she planned her calendar around those Sunday night meetings. It didn't matter if it was a holiday or a family celebration or a snowstorm. We all knew that she'd be leaving the house at 5:30 to chair that 6:15 meeting. And honestly, there were times when we resented that, and we told her. Her reply was always the same. If not her, then who? At Mom's celebration of life, I met a man who told me a story about Mom. He told me about his time in prison and the impact she had had on his life. He said that she treated everyone with kindness, respect, and a fair amount of tough love. That tough love and loyal friendship helped him and others on their sobriety journey. He said many people had given up on him, but she gave him hope. Again, who is the saint in your life? Who have you looked up to, and what was it that made you admire them? Today, we remember our members, the gifts of their lives, the gifts their lives were to their friends, to their families, to this congregation and community. And we also take time to remember those who are connected to this congregation in other ways. Those who are sisters and brothers and children and parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and loved ones of yours. Those whose names you carry in your hearts today and every day. And we celebrate the lives of those we have lost as a community, some that were named on these ribbons. We celebrate those who have gone on working for peace and justice in the world, treasures like Martin Luther King Jr. or Mother Teresa. And we celebrate and remember the lives of saints that fill the pages of our church's history. We remember the first disciples who followed Jesus and the early church figures who helped Christianity grow from a small sect into a worldwide faith. We remember those who gave their lives to make it so. And as we sit in these pews today, we stand on the faith of so many others. Those in the long ago past and those in the all too recent past. These are the ones who have shaped our lives. These are the ones who have impacted our faith, whether we recognize it every day or not. And as we celebrate All Saints Sunday, we must also approach it with caution. As soon as we name someone as a saint, we can tend to put them into a category other than where we place ourselves. They are saints, so we can expect them to be good and kind and to change the world. But we're just regular people. Everyone can't be Mother Teresa, right? God hopes and expects a lot for us, but we're really not all meant to be like her. We're not expecting to be put in the history books, are we? So let's turn to our text for today. The Beatitudes, a blueprint of action, a plan for behavior, and a reorientation of life for the followers of Jesus who are blessed lovers of God. The Beatitudes are a litany of characteristics describing the citizens of heaven, the redeemed, the saved, the saints of God. Priest Rick Morley wrote, "What Jesus taught is that we are meant to be the poor in spirit, full of humility and wonder, and aware of our dependence on God. We are to be willingly, emotionally exposed and open enough to fully mourn. Mourning the state of the world, the failures and losses of our brothers and sisters, and the loss of our own innocence. We are the ones who are to be meek, not seeking power by dominating others, but attaining true power, which is only found in the weakness and vulnerability of the cross of Christ. We are to hunger and thirst for righteousness, yearning for what is right, holy, and good from the deepest part of our souls. We are to be merciful and not ruthless, pure in heart, not corrupted, peacemakers, not instigators, the persecuted instead of the persecutors, and reviled and despised, not honored and exalted." Friends, this is the picture of what the church is supposed to look like without any filters. Jesus was teaching what God is all about, what he himself is all about, and what he wants us and every person on the face of the planet to be about. We are commanded above all to love. When we think of the lives of the saints, saints of the church and saints in our lives, we can see how love was at work in their lives. Mother Teresa loved those others considered untouchable. Gandhi loved those who were oppressing his people and loved those whose faith and beliefs were completely different than his own. Jesus says that following the commandments to love brings us near to God's kingdom, and to be in God's kingdom is the best way we can understand sainthood. That means though that we can't shove sainthood off as a title only for those who have passed away, or as a title we use to get ourselves out of the responsibility God has placed on us in discipleship. Because loving is something we can all do if we choose to open our hearts. We can bring in 1,000 cans of beefaroni for buddy bags. But if we don't do it with love, we're missing the point. When we speak, do we speak with love? When we see those who don't look like us, or dress like us, or live like us, do we look at them with loving eyes? The first commandment tells us that we must love God with all of our heart, our soul, our mind, and strength. Catholic worker Dorothy Day once said, "I really only love God as much as I love the person I love the least." We can only love God if we love one another. We can love that which God has created and love God through our actions towards others. When we talk about the saints in the life of the church, we're not talking about those who have completed some special tasks or those who have gained worldwide renown. We're talking about those who leave a legacy of love. Those who take Jesus seriously when he reminds us that there's nothing better we can do in life than loving God and loving others. Guys, look again at our homemade banner representing our communion of saints. It's not perfect, but don't you just love it? Don't you love how unique it is, and all the different colors and patterns and sparkles, and how it shines so brightly like the saints we are remembering? A legacy of love. Amen.
I sing a song of the saints of God, patient and brave and true, who toiled and fought and lived and died for the Lord. They loved and one was a doctor, and one was a queen, and one was a shepherdess on the green. They were all of them saints of God, and I need God help me to be one too. They love their Lord so dear, and love a day that's strong, and they